Okay. Okay. Hi. This is Carl, Yago Dunzo on the Discord, and again I'm joined by Jeremy, who goes by HuntSucker27,
Hello.
and we are continuing our Temptations pack review. Since Pack 2 kind of got released in the wild, we have access to stuff a little bit ahead of L5R's schedule. Um, but because of that, we're also in a little bit of a weird spot where Bushi Builder doesn't have all the card art online, so we're going to do it a card at a time, just so we can keep things straightforward. Which unfortunately means we have to go in alphabetical order, and we're probably going to end up with sad trombone noises at the end for Unicorn.
It's better than other packs. It's better.
Okay.
I'm optimistic.
Well, let's get this kicked off then. Pardon me. And first card we have up is Master of Jade. It is a Crab Clan card, Dynasty, Earth Shugenja, 4 military, 3 political, 0 glory. It's a 4 cost. I think I said that right.
4-3-3.
Yes. Keeper roll only. Action, lose 2 honor, choose a character, place 1 fate on that character. So Crab got another save.
Pretty costly save, but a save.
It is. I think it's interesting lore-wise because I have to imagine the intended use for this card is to refuel your characters from Maho, which kind of looks like FFG's equating 2 honor to a fate on character as their baseline cost for it. But thematically, it's weird that a Master of Jade empowers Maho.
Well, I mean, her flavor text is right there, right?
Yes.
I will not allow the taint to take you.
Yes, but usually that's because the crab goes smash on Maho users.
True.
So that doesn't sound so much a promise to me as it does a threat.
That's fair.
But it is, like you said, expensive for Crab that doesn't really have a way to regain the honor that well.
Mm-hmm.
They just recently got Pious Guardian.
Yeah.
Which will help, but still 2 honor is definitely a chunk. I wish I could see the art.
I think we've seen it in the preview.
Oh, that's right. It's on
the
Discord.
The Discord. We can see the art from there.
Yeah. I don't want to try reading the art from the Discord, though, or the cards from the Discord, though, because
yeah, it's a little.
It is high-grade potato vision. Of course, it's the art with...
Looks like she's like crunching up jade in her hand.
Yeah.
Looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it does. Looks like she's getting ready to punch the person.
Yep.
It's like, here, this will help you make you feel better. But no, I like the card. I actually don't think it's going to see a whole lot of play. Just because the cost for a fate is pretty high. Although maybe they use it as like an emergency save.
Yeah, I don't even really think this thing needs keeper, but I get it.
What does it get kept away from if it's Seeker?
Yeah, there's not really any Seeker crab cards I can think of.
Really. Like, I'm wondering if that's
for like splash reasons.
Well, I mean, it's a Dynasty character, so it's not. So I don't know like what it's supposed to be separated from, unless they just want to not make that an auto include card.
Yeah, for like everything.
But either way, I don't think.
Oh, Seeker Fate, maybe, or something like that, like making it so. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Just a guess.
I like the card. I don't expect it to see a whole lot of use.
Yeah.
Unless there's a lot of good Maho cards that'll end up getting played.
Yeah.
I know there's one later on. I guess it's after the Silent Skirmisher, but even that card is super sketchy now. It's hilarious, but we'll get to that in a second.
Mm.
The next card is Silent Skirmisher. It is a Stillcrab Dynasty character, Berserker Bushi, 0 cost, 1 mil, dash political, 1 glory. Action during a conflict, sacrifice another character. This character gets +2 mil until the end of the conflict. So we are once again seeing FFG print 0 cost characters that have abilities.
Yep.
This ability, I think, is less problematic than the Doji Diplomat.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 0 cost Berserker Bushi, so it's got the keywords you would care about. And then just having the ability to have another sack whenever you'd like is helpful.
Yeah, it's another sack outlet, although Crab is pretty flush with them right now.
Yeah.
But it does kind of let you double dip on sack outlets, right? So if you have like a Gallant Quartermaster and a Funeral Pyre,
yeah,
you can sack the Gallant to a Skirmisher, and then after the attack, sack the Skirmisher to the Funeral Pyre.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to fate this character. And there's also a couple other cards that key off of characters leaving play that are Berserkers, like the Vengeful Berserker, where his military doubles when a character leaves play.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a couple things that like Berserkers, right? Like Crisis Breaker.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that Bushi Builder is showing us 2 cards down here.
Yeah.
I think the Vengeful Berserker is more likely to. I don't know why that's not showing up here. Kind of curious if there's some weird restriction on it that. No, I don't know why this card chose not to be associated, but whatever. I think that's the most obvious one, and then this obviously kind of goes in with the broker theme.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this card will see play. 0 cost cards, especially or 0 cost characters, basically turn into a economy for Crab.
Yeah.
So if for nothing else, I expect this to take up a slot in the broker deck as just a way to further generate money. Nothing terribly exciting, but
no,
it's solid.
Not immediately heading for the binder. So
yes, yeah. Also, I guess because it has 1 glory, you can do stuff like a perfect cut.
That's true.
To make it even bigger, and maybe use that as a way to stop hemorrhaging honor so much.
Mm-hmm.
The next card is Crab's. We have art for this one. Crab's Maho card. It is Darkness Rising. It is conflict, 2 cost, Maho spell water, and 2 influence. It is water roll only. I will read the Maho text once because I don't want to do this forever. This card's fate cost can only be paid for with fate on characters you control. So, like we mentioned earlier, Master Jade can turn 2 honor into a fate on a character for a Maho card. And action during a conflict, dishonor a friendly participating character. Bow each participating character with lower military skill than that of the dishonored character. So where this gets wacky is you can play this card when when you normally would be able to.
Mm-hmm.
However, if the character you dishonor, like if they have a high enough glory, there can actually be no legal targets for the spell.
Interesting.
So there's weird timing things in the rules where it checks a couple of times to make sure that it happened, like the card is legal to play.
Right.
And if it's not, it goes back into your hand. The problem is, at every check except for the resolution, this card is legal to play.
Hmm.
But because of the dishonor, when it gets to resolving, it can actually do nothing,
Hmm.
um, which I find interesting and hilarious. Um, but to the card itself, I think it is too expensive for its ability.
Yeah, it really needs to be. You would only really use it with one character because it bows everybody, even your own people who have lower military than who you're dishonoring, right?
Yes,
So
it's weird. Um, with stands as common as they are now, bowing characters is not super great.
right.
Um, I think Crab can probably make the most use of this card because they have low glory. So they're they can bow the most people. Like Lion would be able to have high military numbers as well. But the problem is they have higher glory.
Yeah, I was thinking about slashing it in Unicorn and giving it a shot, but you would really have to have the numbers right to make it worthwhile.
Yeah. Um, it super sucks that Nimble Noyan is symmetrical
Hmm.
because otherwise I think this would be really good in Unicorn.
Yeah, because then you just bow everything. It
And then you're
doesn't
still
matter.
fine. But
Yeah, but
no,
so are they.
yeah,
So
yeah. So that's less than ideal for whatever that was supposed to be. Um, but yeah, I think the effect is kind of meh because there's so much stands in the game. I think every clan has access to an in-clan stand or an easily accessible stand.
right, and I mean it does have to be said that we haven't seen this. This is all hypothetical at this point, but the idea is that Maho Fate is a bigger cost than regular Fate, right? Taking it off your own people in general is
Yeah,
probably going to be a bigger deal
yeah.
than spending Q for it.
There are some edge cases around that where, pardon me, you can make it cheaper or you can be super stupid and run I'm never going to spell or pronounce this last part right, but hopefully I can get it there. The Awakened Sukunogami,
Mm-hmm.
where you can pay fate off of rings.
Yeah.
That might could be a thing.
Hmm.
I don't know how that interacts with the Maho text.
Good question. I mean, that's
Since,
the thing, right? Is that we haven't really seen
yeah,
ruling or anything for we don't have full context of what this how Maho is even going to work.
you know what? I'm going to pop over to the Discord real quick while we're doing this and just ask. And
Sure.
maybe, so you talked about this card as much as left to talk about.
Yeah, I'm looking up Awakened while I'm at it, just because curious. Yeah, you may use the fate on a ring to pay the cost of a conflict card that has a trait that matches an element of that ring. Void roll only.
I'm pretty sure the answer is going to be a flat no
Yeah.
because this specifies the only way, and Awakened Sukunogami adds an additional way.
Yeah, can only would probably be your problem there.
Yeah, but I will ask people that understand the rules far better than I do. Um, yeah, I don't see this card doing much of anything in the game.
Yeah.
I think two fate's too expensive for one fate. Sure.
I think it's properly influenced in terms of splash. Like if another clan could use it better, like two influences is fine.
Yeah, I really do think that as far as influence go, two should be the baseline for everything,
Right.
and then weaker effects should be one, and stronger effects should be three.
Hmm.
That way, I mean, that feels like a relatively good way to operate for a baseline.
Yeah.
But So I think Crab in general can probably skip this pack, unless you really want to build a Berserker deck, and then you're doing that for the Silent Skirmisher.
Mm-hmm.
Now onto Crane, where Crane are currently the most hated clan that isn't Scorpion right now.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate.
I think that's a fair way of putting it. Um, they get Uji 2.
Yep.
Still 5 cost, still Bushi, Daimyo, and Shinobi, so Crane continues to get the best Shinobis. 6 military, 2 political, 2 glory. While this character is honored, you may play each card underneath it as if it were in your hand. And as a reaction, after this character enters play, search a conflict deck for 4 cards and place them underneath this character face down and out of play. When this character leaves play, remove each face down card underneath it from the game.
4-card tutor.
4-card tutor. That's a super strong ability, especially since you can get any 4 cards, characters, attachments, or events.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's just like, even looking at the cards that Bushi Builder is recommending, like, you could fish out a Call to War and buy him with no fate.
Yeah.
And then just dump fate onto him that way. Yeah, I don't think we've seen a tutor effect this potent in the game.
No, definitely not.
So being able to get whatever card you want is clearly a strong ability. Keeping them honored is basically trivial.
Mm-hmm. I mean, cloud is the thing, right? If you're able to cloud him and it sticks, like you've lost 4 cards that you can no longer interact with.
That being said, Crane currently still has access to Tea House.
Oh yeah.
So they can bounce the cloud. I did ask what happens to the cards underneath him if he does get clouded. Because like my question, because it says when he leaves play, remove each face down card underneath him from the game.
Mm-hmm.
So what if he's clouded or hit by a trick of the light the turn he leaves play?
Yeah.
And those cards still get removed from the game. They don't go to your discard pile.
That's good.
The removing each face down card from the game is a delayed effect that operates independent of him having text or not.
Interesting.
I do think if people want to be bold and experimental in their deck building, they can actually run like 4 or 5 edge case cards to really help against one specific matchup.
Yeah, like 1-ofs get a lot tastier.
And, you know, if you're not playing the matchup, you can actually use him to get rid of those cards from your deck.
Yeah.
That way you're thinning your deck and you're improving your card draw quality in later turns. He doesn't just have to get you cards that you can play. He can also get you cards that you will never be able to play.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is a super strong card.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's definitely going to see play in some form or fashion, just to at least try it. But I mean, it's even like the thing of like, if he leaves play and you get another one, you do it again.
Yep.
So it's like, you know, you may have spent your 4 and then you're fine with him leaving play, and then let him go and then go grab another one.
Like, you can always use the first one with no fate to just get rid of cards you don't need.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, shit, okay, you could use shit like Forebear's Echoes to thin your deck on command.
Oh man, yeah, because Forebear.
The reaction is after he enters play, not after he's played. There's a card we talked about last week, I think, or got previewed. The Shadow Step.
Yep.
That lets you thin more cards out of your deck. So he is. I think he can definitely make it so that your draws are significantly better.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things like you could go get a bunch of zero cost things and not even really have to worry about paying any costs or anything. Play them all, then shadow step and go get more.
Yeah, and then you just have to re-honor them.
Yeah, which is not difficult for them. So
Yeah, so still
the
good.
only downside I see with this character is his art. His art is bad. If you look on the Discord, it's just him in a shadow. It does not look good compared to previous Ujis.
I think I went looking for his art and was confused that I couldn't find it because it is
So
so
bad.
bland. Let me pull it up over here.
It's next to the Master of Jade.
Yeah, like he's clearly about to fuck someone up,
Sure.
but at the same time, that is not named character art.
That is generic guy in the shadows.
Yeah.
Art. Yeah.
So yeah, this card definitely good. I think even without going any further, if you play Crane, you buy this pack for this card because he's going to get played. Onto a card that probably won't. We have Raise to the Ground. It's a Crane conflict event, 1 influence. Earth roll only, and a reaction after you win a military conflict against a non-stronghold province, dishonor a participating friendly character, and break a face-up friendly province, break the attacked province. I don't see this card being played in Crane. Like,
yeah, not in Crane, but I'm gonna try it.
I mean, for HMT Unicorn,
mm-hmm.
it can make Appealing to the Fortunes much more on demand.
Mm-hmm.
And you still get to break.
Right, it's a poke that I like. Let's say all I have to do is win a military conflict.
Yeah.
Dishonor, and then that's it. It's not even coming up with a break. If I play, a conflict character and go into it, I don't have to spend any more cards. This doesn't cost any fate, and it's 1 influence.
Yep. And, it helps you keep gas in your hand.
Right.
Which can be a big deal. Dragon can probably play this too.
Yeah, I would say so.
Since they have a couple of nasty on-break provinces.
You just choose to break Resto.
Yep. I mean, it's got to be face-up.
Yeah.
But still. I did get a response for the Awakened Tsukunogami.
Okay.
You cannot use the Ring Fate to play for Maho cards.
Okay. So what we thought.
What we thought, but still, maybe. But yeah, back to this card. I think definitely not for Crane, unless they are super far ahead on board position. And I guess if you run a farmable province, this card is an option.
Yeah, just to make it stop.
Just because you can force them to go somewhere more hurtful.
Right.
So, edge case?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Other thing I'll say for this card is I always appreciate when story gets into the game, when you see story references or things that have happened. And
yeah, this is Lion blowing up Kyuden Kakita, isn't it?
Well, Crane blew up their own Kyuden Kakita once Slide took it, but yes.
Gotcha. It is nice to see, story things showing up on cards, since this is supposed to be a story-based card game. Next Crane card is the Way of Peace. It is a Crane province, 3 province strength, air element. Interrupt: when this province is broken, choose up to 3 characters, honor each of those characters.
Hey, that kind of goes with our last card.
It does go with it a little bit. I still think it's kind of terrible.
Yeah. I understand the intent, right?
Yeah. Well, it's
putting them in a pack together makes sense.
It's this is what Art of Peace 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
Except that one was just significantly worse.
Mm-hmm.
because when it broke, you honored each defending character and dishonored each attacking character,
Hmm.
which means to get like the most value out of it, you have to over defend, but then it's not breaking,
Right.
so it's not firing. This one can honor characters anywhere.
Yeah.
You can even honor your opponent's characters, which is a thing that might happen since Kyuden Bayushi is becoming popular, or has become popular.
Carl, you and I live in Janktown, so these fringe things are always fun to.
Yes, they are. Because yeah, you can choose one of your opponent's characters and two of your own. Um, I don't know. That's the super edge case thing that I would really worry about. I mean, this is kind of terrible.
Hmm. I mean, it's air, right? So it's in company in which it's not going to be beaten,
Yeah, I mean, like
or
fertile
it's not
fe-
going to beat them.
fertile fields or manicured garden, like the value is just much more present there.
Hmm.
Especially since most Crane decks are now running, Suma and are running out of Kyuden Kikita. It feels, and they're only buying one character a turn anyway,
Right.
unless it's a Doji Diplomat. Then, uh, you know, this card can only honor, like, it may not have any targets when it breaks.
Hmm.
Um, so maybe for a different style of Crane,
Yeah, something down
but
the line maybe.
but not the current style. Now we get on to Dragon, and I'm happy for these Dragon cards.
I am too. This continues my theory that we're just going to get a bunch of baller one drops, 1 drops this
Mm-hmm.
cycle for everybody. Every 0 drop we've seen so far has been pretty decent, and it's
Uh,
been a while since we've seen that.
Yeah, and I'm also digging the fact that I think the cards that Dragon has gotten previewed um, don't feel as categorically shitty
Yeah,
as their past ones have been.
I mean they're going to be pushed into more heretic stuff from what we've seen, right? So it's like
Yeah,
you're not necessarily going to see keywords that they care about. But I mean, this guy. I mean, we should say what the card
yeah,
is. He's one for 1/0/0. When he
yep,
is ordinary, which means he is neither honored or dishonored, he is a 2/3 or a 3/2
yep.
for zero with 0 glory. So
So it is a slightly understated Doom Shugenja,
hmm?
except you can throw Fate on it.
Yeah, not
Um,
limited.
and it's not limited. So, if you want to build that Dragon Barca deck, you can, without having to worry about Doomshigen just fucking up your plans.
Yep.
Um, there's not a whole lot of ways for most clans to change this card's honored status.
Yeah, like as a unicorn, there's pretty much I'm not gonna have a whole lot I can do against the guy just hitting the table and being a 3/2 immediately.
Yeah, I mean it's like court games and For Shame, I think are the and Shameful Display.
Sure. And am I gonna spend a fire ring on this? Probably not.
No. So I do like that this card because we saw another card that referenced ordinary status.
Hmm.
Um, so I think that's Dragon's new theme, which makes sense for the Perfect Land believers since they kind of reject the Celestial Order and everything.
Sure.
I think the traits are definitely not what Dragon's looking for.
Yeah, I mean, unless there's something that involves heretics later, but I seriously doubt it.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's no story penalties for running this card.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this card and hopefully other cards that focus on the ordinary and that aren't monks probably open up a new deck style for Dragon.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because if
I
you
would say.
oh,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say if you run enough cards that aren't monks,
Mm-hmm.
you can step away from the monk package.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so that frees up a bunch of cards in your conflict as well.
For me, this is just a nitpick. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm kind of surprised there is no explanation of what ordinary is. We've never seen it on a card before. So having even just one card that references it for like new player experience or
Did the other card that got previewed for Dragon not reference Ordinary?
it says it may say ordinary, but it doesn't explain what that is.
Hang on, I'm just going through previous spoilers. I assume that's going to be in the rules insert.
Yeah,
but
you're right. Yeah,
it is still. There's plenty of text space available on this card.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they probably could have put it on there, but that is a nitpick, and I think it's fair, but I think it does not detract from the value of this card.
Oh no, not at all. And once again, baller art, amazing art.
Yep.
Pulling a katana out of a bundle.
Yep.
Pretty cool.
Even though one could argue that is a sneak attack like that is in fact a dishonorable thing.
Yeah.
And so maybe it should be a little different for the ability, but no, that is great art, great card, hot stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited for Dragon. I think they're good, really good stuff.
This card is going to cause a whole bunch of problems.
Oh man.
And I think it's going to lead to, because we're supposed to get an RRG update fairly soon, and I think this is going to let Magistrate Station get banned. It is a 0 cost. It's Shoshi Nikki. Dragon event, conflict. 0 cost, 2 influence. Well, my voice is fucked up. Water roll only. Action, reveal a friendly face down province. Choose an ordinary character, ready that character.
Yeah, I'm excited for this card. Like I legit want to try water roll again in Unicorn, just to try this thing.
Yep, because then you can also, I mean, you can't splash both it and raise to the ground, but it does let you turn up. It's another way for you to turn up provinces relatively reliably.
Yeah, I mean,
without having to run Border Fortress.
For Shiro Shinjo, I would probably reveal Border Fortress, then reveal something else to start getting Fate very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Just to turn on all of my stuff for Shiro Shinjo and just, I mean, there's potential to go into turn 2 with, getting 10 Fate very quickly.
Yep.
Water roll is not the worst thing for Unicorn either, so that it's got a good influence as well. So
yeah, I think water roll is no longer the de facto worst roll for any given clan. It's probably still not great, but it doesn't feel automatically bad to have to pick water roll. But yeah, this card's definitely going to get Magistrate Station banned. I will be super unhappy if this card gets restricted because of
like right away.
Yeah, because of Magistrate Station.
Yeah,
because that's a bunch of horseshit.
Yeah. So much theory crafting you could do with this card. Like
Oh yeah.
Just being able to reveal. Yeah.
I mean, also, Brush Fires was in the last pack we did. So you can turn that up and strip Fate off of someone, even if it's at a different province.
Yeah. Imagine doing that right before everything leaves play, and your opponent thinks everything's fine. They got 2 Fate on their guy, and then you do this, reveal Brush Fires, and then you're like, all right, your guy's leaving.
Yeah. I think Brush Fires has to be an attacking character.
You're right.
So you can still do that and fuck up their plans, but they'd have a window to try and do something about it.
Yeah, that's true.
That flavor text is a little disconcerting. Now that I look at it, if it gets me through the day, it is enough. That's kind of sounding very heroin-y.
I mean, it's peasants
Oh yeah, that is true.
Just
It's
peasants
peasants because it's
getting
talking
through the
about
day.
ordinary. Yep, yep. Yeah, in fact, the art is.
She's
Uh,
like doing laundry or something.
yep. No, this is a good card. It definitely opens up archetypes for other clans because we saw how quickly Doji Diplomat made Crane's uh, face up province stuff like super potent.
Hmm.
Um,
I
this
mean, we
could,
haven't even talked about the fact that it readies. Like, that's,
yeah.
we're just talking
Well,
about
I mean,
face
so
revealing. It's like also it readies.
the state of the game's a little fucky because the readying is just kind of meh because everyone can ready. Readying is nothing special. Being able to reveal a friendly face down province is the thing.
Mm.
But yes, it is also a stand. We should like talk about the effect. So that matters. Uh, now we go on to lion cards, and I am probably going to rant a whole bunch about lion cards.
Well, that's fine. I do it every pack.
Yeah,
You can join me.
yeah. So we have Under Amaterasu's Gaze. It is another battlefield attachment. One cost, one influence, no bonuses. Attached to an unbroken province, limit one battlefield attachment per province. During conflicts at the attached province, increase the cost for each player to play each card from their hand by one, unless that player has at least 5 or more honor than their opponent.
Mhm.
So this is an ageless crone that isn't necessarily symmetrical.
Right.
Um, it's a battlefield, so you get all the Master Tactician logistics, Chronicler Conquests, all the stuff that it mentions down here. For,
Oh yeah, yeah.
um, I am not liking the uh, honor kickers that are honor reliant effects that Line is getting this
Well,
cycle so far.
that's their temptation, Carl. They're
It's
tempted by honor.
in order to be a temptation, there has to be a downside.
I just knew there was a button I could press to make you
Otherwise,
to
otherwise,
make
it's
you
not a
rip.
temptation. It's the right thing to do.
I had to press the button.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I mean that button's going to be here for the next 4 pack reviews we do for this cycle. Um, but yeah, because this is like if that's the gate on all the line cards that are coming out this cycle.
it seems to
Uh,
be this and then the 2 honor, like we saw with the Singer.
yes, but that is going to encourage Lion to play predominantly the honor
Yeah,
decks, and um, that's a super toxic deck to play against.
yeah, definitely
Like,
can feel very solitaire.
yeah, it's like I understand exactly how toxic playing against a dishonor deck is, um, and I would argue that playing against an honor deck is more toxic
It definitely has potential.
because it feels like that takes longer to happen. At least dishonor games, like when they grind to a crawl, it's close to the end.
Hmm.
Honor decks grind to a crawl from turn one,
Hmm.
and then you got to play out 10 more goddamn turns while they count to 25.
Yeah, I mean having 5 more honor than their opponent is not. It's almost not a condition right now.
It isn't
It,
because they have Hugh Nakoma starts at 13,
yeah.
which is between 2 and 3 higher than almost every other stronghold. It's 4
Hmm.
higher than Kyuden Bayushi.
Hmm.
Um, so all they have to do is just gain 2 points of honor, and then this is turned on,
Yeah.
and they can do that off of an air ring.
I mean, there is a surprise factor. I mean, at least for you as a Scorpion, if you can make that suddenly become 4 and turn this tax on for everybody, I don't know. It's
Yeah, I
it's
mean
not.
there is that, but at the same time, like it seems like if you're gonna run this card, you are going to run it on um, off of a more tower
Hmm.
platform. so
Yeah.
that you don't have to play cards.
Yeah.
Uh, but I could easily be mistaken. I'm not a fan that one line is being pushed to strictly play a toxic playstyle.
Hmm.
Um, in Scorpion Chat, we always lament the fact that we keep getting cards that make Dishonor the best playstyle because
Hmm.
then that's all we can play, and that's not necessarily healthy for the game because it is a very toxic experience to play through. Um, and so now there's going to be two extremes, right? You're going to have to be able to play against Scorpion Dishonor and against Lion Honor, and I'm pretty sure both those playstyles or the answer to both those playstyles are completely different.
Yeah, like tournament wise, you have to think, or like when we have Kotes again, building a deck that can work against the majority of play styles. I mean, obviously you have your placings and who you go up against is out of your control, but
Sure.
you have to anticipate being able to be as versatile as possible. And when you start having hard counters, like really hard counters with clans,
Mm-hmm.
it gets more and more difficult.
Yeah. Um, so I guess for this card specifically, I don't think the effect is that busted.
Mm-mm.
Um, I've played against enough Tetsukos to just deal
Yeah.
and spend my fate appropriately. Um, but I don't like that the gate isn't a gate and it kind of encourages a toxic playstyle or a toxic deck type.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. So the next card,
Yeah, save your rant for this one, man.
Commander of the Legions, Lion Dynasty Bushi Commander, 4 cost, 4/2/2. Each other Lion character you control gets +1 military. During the Fate phase, if you have at least 5 or more honor than an opponent, Fate cannot be removed from Lion characters you control if printed cost 3 or lower. So, he doesn't save himself, which is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to see. Um, I believe the. Oops, I don't need a new tab. I don't need to click that button. Uh, its direct comparison is the Honor General.
Yeah.
Um, whose stats are similar-ish,
Mm-hmm.
right? He's a 4/3. Oh no, sorry, he's a 3/1 with 2 glory, but he auto honors himself. And his bubble text is only during a conflict.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right?
This guy is just a flat +1 at all times.
At all times. And it's a non-unique, so having multiple of these,
Mm-hmm.
you could have multiples where everybody just has it. It doesn't, like we said, it doesn't care about participating. It's not going to help you having duplicates with during the fate phase, save guys. But
Sure.
in terms of, it's kind of weird, right? Because like the second half of this text is almost pushing for like a swarm type deck.
Yes.
But having 5 or more honor is definitely, like we were saying before, like more of a tower kind of thing.
Well, it's definitely more of a honor playstyle.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, um, staying perpetually 5 above your opponent isn't that hard, even if you're not expressly playing honor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a couple air rings and you're good.
Yeah.
The fact that he turns everyone into a steadfast samurai, sort of.
Yeah.
If they don't have fate on them, they still die. The steadfast samurai doesn't die or doesn't lose fate.
But like I've said, like I look through the unicorn lens a lot of the times, right? I expect multiple hoops. The fact that this is not even non-uniques that are 3 or less, it's just anything. It's like Mozo at 3. It's it's Zentaro. It's
like this guy saves a whole bunch of like important characters, like saves Zentaro,
Hmm.
saves Sonuri 1 and 2, uh, basically any cheap Bushi, or not cheap Bushi, like Line Spread Brawler.
Yeah.
Um, and I can definitely see a Swarmier deck coming out of this
Hmm.
that runs for Greater Glory.
Yeah, I was about to say it. I mean, they have For Greater Glory in clan, so it's not even.
Because this guy makes it much more likely that you are going to win and break because of his bubble effect.
Yeah.
Um, it doesn't apply to just Bushi, so you can even lean on the Ashigaru Levy
Yeah,
to
and it's
to
getting
get
to the
that
point.
break.
It's getting to the point where the 5 or more honor may just happen naturally in a
Mm-hmm.
swarm type deck, and this is like your 4 coster. And
Yeah,
then it just kind of happens just naturally with the things that you're running. Like I said, it doesn't even care if it's, it doesn't care if it's Bushi, it doesn't care if it's Courier, it doesn't care at all. It just gives everybody all the time +1.
I'm
It's
a,
wild.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and stake what little credibility I have with this game on this comment.
Hmm.
I think he could make HMT playable for Lion
Yeah, like this is like definitely a puzzle piece for that for sure.
because HMT Lion's problem has always been this similar, no, not even similar to Unicorn's problem for HMT, but their condition for it is significantly harder.
Hmm.
Um, and it seems like it eats at their board more than Unicorns does.
Yeah.
Um, so the fact that this guy could, in theory, save characters from turn to turn means Lion is able to stabilize their board better.
Yeah, I almost wish I don't say this very often, but I almost wish this either had a role or element lock to it, just to keep it
Yeah, I can get behind that. Like giving this maybe
not
Void.
air,
Yeah,
not air.
not absolutely not air, but like Void.
Yeah,
Um, I think it would have felt less bad. And again, like I don't like the thing I don't like about this card is the gate that's not a gate.
yeah, and it's with their own recursion. Like you're going to have,
Mm-hmm.
you know, there'll be issues.
Yep, yep. Uh, this card we saw a while ago, Roar of the Lioness. Lion Prophets, Strength X, Water Roll. X is equal to half the amount of honor in your honor pool rounded up. I think this might see play. Uh,
Yeah, I mean you're talking half the amount of honor. They're generally going to be at 13 lately, so that's
I mean,
pretty good.
they start at 13,
Just
so
at the beginning, if this thing flops immediately, it's like,
that's 7,
yeah,
and that's only going to go up. The only reason it wouldn't get played is because it's water, and so it competes with Art of War.
hmm.
But you could do a Seeker of Water style deck
If you want to
and
farm a
throw this on.
province, though, you couldn't ask for a better. You couldn't ask for a better target, though, right? I
Sure,
mean,
but you throw this on the box.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and that way, if you need a few extra turns for those last few points of honor, I think this very much can get it for you.
my concern would be if that was on box, we're starting to see more province blanking effects.
Yes, and I believe the next card will absolutely trigger a rant from me.
Hmm.
Or maybe it's in the next pack. I don't know. This card, like, there's not a whole lot of discussion that really
Not
needs
really.
to, like, it's a big number. It's a ancestral
Land.
lands entrenched position,
Hmm.
both at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want big numbers, this card will give you big numbers. Oh no, I guess the lion card that I'm going to rant about is in a different pack.
Save that fire for next pack.
Everyone's lucky because I will go off.
We have plenty of conversation about this card though.
Yeah, this is great. Curse of Misfortune. It is a neutral attachment. Condition Curse, 1 cost, no bonuses. Each other attachment on attached character gains restricted. So everyone that hated seeing the 12 to 15 attachment towers is super happy.
Yep.
Everyone that liked playing the 12 to 15 card attachment towers is super sad.
Well, no. So you play the attachment that gives everything ancestral, right? And then.
Yeah, but see, the problem is ancestral triggers when the character goes away, not when the attachments go away. True. So, yeah, this card. I think the community has been asking for this kind of effect for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Because those hyper towers or strip malls or whatever you want to call them are just not fun to play against.
Yeah, and really, it's one of those cards that you just anticipate changing a meta.
Yes.
But at the same time, the threat of its existence may be enough to tamper down.
Yeah, so I think what's going to happen is we're going to see. So this card will only get played if towers exist, for the most part. So, like the hunter prey cycles in nature, there will be an equilibrium reached.
Sure.
With this card, where some decks will run it as a 1 or 2 of, and then there will still be tower decks in the meta, just fewer of them.
Mm-hmm.
And if this card ever becomes too dead, it'll stop seeing play, which towers will then come back up, and then this card comes in, and towers go away, and then this card goes away. So there's going to be some kind of equilibrium. I also think we're going to see more smaller towers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it kind of spread out a little bit more. Yeah, that was my expectation as well. I mean, for me as a unicorn, if I don't need it, I'm just going to pitch it to spoils.
Yeah.
So I don't feel that bad about running at least 2 of these. Yep. I would anticipate most clans will try it at 2 and eventually go down to 1.
Yep. And if you're Crane, Uji2 is either gets it when you need it or gets it out of your deck if you never need it.
Yep.
So I think this card is going to be good. Clearly.
Yeah, I mean, we do need to say that the opponent has the choice on what gets staged.
Yes.
So when this ability goes off, your opponent is still choosing what they are keeping. Dragon deals with it a little bit better with the new Stronghold if they ever run it.
Yes.
So,
and I know previously I'd mentioned having 2 of these on a character. It turns out you remove attachments 1 at a time. It's not a simultaneous thing.
Okay.
So if you throw 2 of these on a character, you can't get rid of both of them. Like, you can't get rid of both curses.
Okay.
So, yeah, no, I think overall, I think the card will be good for the meta. Whether that's good for the game is a different discussion. Because, if the game eventually gravitates towards only one play style being viable for everyone, then it gets kind of boring.
Yeah.
But I think in the short term, this is going to make the game much more enjoyable.
It's just, yeah, I mean, it's the silver bullet we've been asking for. It's not crazy good. It is what we, it doesn't give negative, like if it gave negative but negative 1 on top of that, if it had
that's too much.
Right. It's like, it's just almost perfect in the way it was designed. And it's just allowing more variety, which, like, yeah, I mean, it can be scary on what players are going to do with that, but I think you
But at the same
needed to,
time, like
at a certain point, you needed to force it. You have to
yeah,
force it.
because it gives like Unicorn Swarm basically dies to tower.
Yeah.
So this gives Unicorn Swarm a possible out
Hmm.
or a possible line of play against tower, which it didn't have before.
Hmm.
So overall, I think it's a positive card. I think this is probably the strongest implementation of this kind of effect.
Yeah.
Um, but it's not overly cheap, if that makes sense.
My other concern is, like we've talked about before, we have enough readies in this game that even spreading out those attachments, what if this doesn't have an effect, right?
Well,
Like the meta just kind of shifts over, and we have enough readies where you have still have 10 attachments or whatever, but they're just spread out amongst enough bodies that it never makes sense to play Curse of Misfortune to get rid of one.
I think that like it diffuses the problem. It doesn't
Hmm.
get rid of it.
Yeah.
So if they've got, you know, 2 towers instead of one,
Hmm.
that's still kind of an improvement because that one tower was usually completely insurmountable.
Yeah, and I
But
mean,
if
even in
if
my
they're having
theory,
to split them up, you know, because they're splitting up the attachments, it's more manageable.
yeah, and even in my own theory, it's like you still have to spend cards to get all those ready, so
Yeah,
it's still a cost. Where
yeah,
you would normally be saving that for one tower and doing it,
right,
4 times, maybe you're doing it 2 instead because you're
yeah,
having to ready all these other bodies.
yeah. Um, so yeah, I think it's good. I think regardless of what clan you play, you probably want to pick up at least one of this pack for this
Yeah,
card.
this is like the must-have pack so far.
Um, if you're like me and have like 12 different decks, you probably need like 4 or 5 of these things, but that's my own personal problem. Next one is the Air Province, Cycle of Vengeance. 4 province strength, air element. When this province is broken, choose a character, place one fate on that character, and honor it. I like this for HMT decks.
Yeah, and like I said, running Raise the Ground and
Yep,
Unicorn or something like that, and just breaking this myself
yep,
to break one of yours on a poke and then getting honored and faded on one of my guys.
yep. I think in aggro decks, this is more valuable than uh, meditations or fertile fields.
Mm-hmm.
Not meditations, manicure garden.
Yeah.
Um, because typically you only get that effect once, and I think extending the life of a character and honoring it is more valuable as a one-time effect.
Mm-hmm.
Other clans that would run it, I don't know. Um, I don't think Crab does. Scorpion won't because it's air. Uh, Lion, maybe. Although I think they run Kensen Nogaka,
Yeah.
and that's used more for burst honor. So maybe not even Lion. Dragon's going to be focusing on ordinary characters from what we've seen. Phoenix could get some use out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So mainly Phoenix and Unicorn, I think,
Yeah.
or HMT Lion.
Gank wise, I don't know if it's worth it, but you could always turn off Dire on somebody because it's anybody. It's
Yep,
not just your fault.
you can turn off Dire. Alternatively, you can use a Dire ability and then save that character to use it again next turn.
I could see doing that. I could almost see the card we saw in next pack, Yogo Junzo.
Yeah.
I could almost see being like, yes, please turn this, please
Yes.
stop.
Stop this now.
I don't care that it honors you, just please stop.
I guess some edge case stuff. It can save you from a water ring.
Mm-hmm.
Because breaks happen before ring effects.
Yeah.
So if someone face plants a water ring into this, you can probably be okay.
Yeah.
So,
Ooh, yeah, that would feel pretty bad.
oh, that would feel so terrible. But I would be laughing,
Oh, of course.
hopefully on the inside, but probably a little bit on the outside.
With our locals, you would be laughing.
Oh
Come
yeah,
on.
yeah. Um, yeah, I think this is a decent card. I think this is a nice alternative air
Hmm.
that you can probably that you can run if you don't care about defending or you don't care about gaining a fate or drawing a card.
Yeah, I've been happy with the neutrals we've seen so far. I think
Yeah,
they're all pretty good.
absolutely. Here we go into Phoenix. We have Unhallow. We saw this card previewed earlier, which is why we have lovely art for it. It is a Earth Maho spell attachment, costs 1 and 1 influence. Standard Maho text. Attached to an unbroken province you control, attached province gets +3 strength. As an additional cost to declare one or more defenders during a conflict at attached province, you must lose 1 honor.
Put it in the binder.
Sadly.
There's just I don't get it, man. Like I don't I do not get what this card is like. +3 strength is not enough.
I
You're taking
mean,
fade off your guy, and if you have to defend it,
you have to
you're
lose an honor.
losing. Yeah, like do a bonsai and do a bonsai on defense and get 4. Like what?
Yeah.
Why?
The other sadness that someone online pointed out, and unfortunately I don't remember who it is, so I can't appropriately credit this. Um, like, it would feel super shitty if you put this on a province and then your opponent attacked an air ring there.
Yeah, because then you have to do you defend it and then lose additional? Yeah.
Yeah. Um, there are, clearly some provinces that this would be super busted on. Sampuku Saido.
Yeah, that's the only thing I could think of that you
Uh,
would want to play it on.
Kurimori becomes that much more of a problem
Hmm.
to deal with, but the downside is you then have to find a way to manage the hemorrhaging honor that you're doing.
Yeah.
Um, although, maybe in Scorpion.
Go on.
Well,
Yeah, oh, because you're making it. I see.
because you can, if you lose honor by defending there, that can turn on your forgeries. It turns on city. It does all the honor things you want to do while also making a province harder to break. Like, I could see throwing this on effective deception on your box
Mm.
and just being like, yeah, come at me, come break a 8 or 9 strength province that has a built-in cancel.
Yeah, I mean, you can play more than one.
You can't
I'm
play
like
more than
trying.
one,
You
but
can play more than one if you want.
at that point it's pure suicide though.
Yeah,
Even
and I
for
mean it's like
Scorpion.
it's Maho fate, man. It's like, I mean, I guess like in your example, like turning on a dire scorpion and
Yeah.
getting strength and like yeah maybe, but like in Phoenix itself, I see.
The only workaround is this only triggers on defender declaration. So if you have
Move in.
a lot of reusable movement, it works. Um, Also, you can play it during the conflict to stop a break.
Yeah, and then you don't lose it because you've already.
Yeah, because you already passed that step.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking of it.
It's a bad card.
It
Like,
is. I mean, once you said movement, I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, like I would move in maybe, but yeah, it's bad.
because Unicorn's getting, I don't know if it's in this pack or not, the tents, the reserve tents
Reserve tents are in this pack. Yeah.
that let you move twice.
Yep.
So
And I mean, we have a card
may,
that makes it free with
maybe,
combo lock, but
yeah,
yeah, I mean, it's one influence. It's properly for what this thing does. Like,
yes,
fine, but I just don't. I just
yeah. No,
outside of jank, I don't see the thing.
no, I may throw together like a weird Scorpion deck because this is a reliable way to keep tanking your honor in a gradual manner.
Hmm.
Moving on though, because that's just a bad card. Here's another bad-ish card. Uh, this is the Steward of Cryptic Lore. We saw this card a while ago. Phoenix Dynasty character, 4 cost, 3/3/2. It is a Earth Scholar Shugenja. I can't remember if I read the title or not. It's the Steward of Cryptic Lore. I think I did. Dire ability, he gets +3 political, and during an Earth conflict, select one. The attack province gets either +3 strength or -3 strength until the end of the conflict.
It's just the slot it's in at a 4 cost is what makes it.
4 cost is a lot. The Dire ability is unimpressive.
I mean, you honor this guy, you're talking 6/8, and then making something -3, you're.
No, if he's honored, he's a 5/8.
Right, but I'm saying politically 8, and then if it's an Earth conflict, you're giving -3, which, basically 11. But even
at the same time, though, if you're walking at a province with 8 political on one character,
yeah,
you're probably breaking anyway.
Yeah.
I would like this character more if it applied a bonus or penalty to a character.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously not +3 because that would just be too fucking strong.
Yeah, maybe -2 political or military.
Yeah, because then it synergizes with Solemn Scholar.
Yeah.
Because then you are more likely to win the Earthling for the Scholar. As it currently is, this is you're more likely to break on an Earth conflict.
Mm-hmm.
But who cares? Because
I mean, the higher cost of a Dire character, the better the effect has to be to make it worthwhile.
Correct.
And this just doesn't feel like it to me.
If its action was stronger, maybe, or if the Dire effect was impressive in any way.
Mm-hmm. But just stats for Dire is like the most boring Dire effect you could have.
Yep. So we're just gonna trundle on along. Guardian Dojo is a Phoenix holding, +1 strength. Characters played from adjacent provinces entered play honor, and you cannot place fate on them when they are played. Interesting. Yes. I guess this helps fix the issue with Unhallow. Because you have characters that you can't put fate on that are coming to play honored.
Mm-hmm.
So they die that turn.
So they're.
I got nothing.
I mean, it has potential in that it is adjacent, so it's not. It has potential to affect 2 provinces depending on where it ends up. But yeah, even then.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I kind of wish this card had Rally on it.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we're kind of used to.
Well, no, but like, if this has Rally on it, it's not eating up a body slot for
right, and then it's affecting the adjacent while still.
It's affecting the adjacent, and you're getting a bonus and a penalty on that adjacent because they're coming to play honored, and Phoenix has high glory, but you can't put fate on them, so you don't get to keep them.
Yeah, I mean, adjacent is when it shows up and it affects 2 provinces. That's great. When it's on the end and it only affects 1, not so great. And like when the thing on the other side of it are other holdings, you're like, oh.
Yeah, I was gonna say like this is a card you run at most 2 of.
Right.
Because you never want to see more than 1 of these. Because then it's just bad.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of bad in general.
Yeah, it's already pretty bad to begin with. Yeah. I agree.
Phoenix can probably take a pass on this pack.
Honestly, yeah. All the Phoenix cards I've seen previewed so far, I'm kind of worried if they're going to be the new dragon this cycle. In terms of I haven't seen anything.
Well, I mean, as long as everyone gets a turn, it's okay.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah.
Now we're on to Scorpion cards, where people were going to invariably complain about a couple of them. Just because of the red. We have Shape the Flesh. Sorry. It is a Maho spell water attachment. Costs 1, gives you +1/+1, 1 influence. It's got the Maho text, and attached character gains covert and cannot be honored. I like this card.
Yeah, I like this card.
I think this synergizes super well with Kyuden Bayushi
Hmm.
because you don't want your characters accidentally getting honored.
Yeah.
Uh, it gives you covert, which is pretty good, and out of
Yeah.
KB, it's reusable.
The only thing we've seen that gives covert is a conflict character and then giving
Shinobi,
Shinobi's covert.
Shinobi tools, yeah, and
Yeah, Shinobi tools. So seeing something that you can just put on anything.
yes, that effectively does the same thing.
Hmm.
Is really good. It's not roll locked. It's not keeper seeker locked. I think it's a
Influence is
solid card.
good.
Yep.
Anytime I see a one cost Maho, I'm interested
Yep.
because of combo lock. So I'm kind of like zero cost plus one, make my dude covert. That's got potential.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, it definitely. Like this is just a real basic kind of card. I guess the only limiting factor is if the one fate cost or the one Maho fate cost is too much for the effect.
Hmm.
Um, but it's a real simple card, and if you can afford to pay it, I think it's going to do a whole bunch of work.
Hmm. Yeah, plenty of stuff.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to have on.
I mean, obviously the big one that you look at is Sadako
Hmm. Yeah, for sure.
because that turns her into a 5/5 with covert,
Yeah, yeah.
um, which is good.
And then even your opponent can't turn it off by trying to honor her or give her something to make it stop. So.
Yep. Messenger of Misery. This is a conflict courtier out of Scorpion. One cost, 0/1/0, one influence, and it has courtesy, so it's basically free. Um, I don't think this is a card that Scorpion's going to run, but I think this is definitely a card other clans will run
Yeah.
because it is a cheap conflict courtier.
Something that's becoming very apparent to me as we do these pack reviews for the cycle is like influence seems to be in a realistic place to whereas maybe in past cycles you were seeing stuff that was just two or three that shouldn't be. But the more one influence stuff that you see that is playable, it
Yeah,
just opens up so many possibilities.
yeah. I think more cards should have one influence. I mean, it's like we said at the beginning. Like the baseline should be two,
Yeah.
and strong effects go to three, and edge case or weak effects go to one.
Hmm.
In the past, influence has very much been a dartboard proposition, and it's nice to see things seemingly becoming rational.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any egregious influence costs, I don't think, this cycle.
Yeah, not really.
Um, but for this card, like it's basically a free courtier. Um, if you want to run a courtier deck but don't have the cards for it, this is the card for you.
Yeah, there's like some Shiro Shinjo courtier type decks that
Yeah,
would
the
appreciate this.
Scattered Terrain deck, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're already on Scorp Splash for that, so
Yeah.
giving us more courtiers to do stuff is.
Cheaper courtiers too, right? Because
Yeah.
you were running the 2-drop.
Yep.
And this is the 1-drop that replaces that refunds itself.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely a splash card for other plans. Shoju's Diviner. This is a 3-cost Dynasty character. Air Imperial Shugenja. It's a 3/3/1. Dire, this character gains action. Look at the top 8 cards of your conflict deck, then discard any number of those cards and put the rest back on top in any order. Yeah, this is like just super card quality, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're getting rid of stuff that you don't need, and then you're putting things back in the order you want them. There's no shuffle involved, so.
Yep. And if we see more conflict recursion cards out of Lion that are splashable,
Mm.
uh, this is great because this lets you preload the In Service to My Lords.
Yeah.
and not have to worry about drawing them.
Yeah.
If you want to run terrible cards like Restore to Heirloom or Guidance of the Ancestors, you can do that too. Um, but it also lets you plan out your turn, right? Because you have anywhere between realistically 8 and 4 or 5 cards
Hmm.
that you can order in any way. It's got the Imperial trait, so if you want to run the Ishikawa deck, it helps there, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, and Shigenja have generally been harder for you guys, right? In terms of having stuff that's
Yeah,
statted well, or
we haven't had a whole lot in the way of playable Shugenja, I don't think. The one that got played the most, I think, was Sinister Soshi out of core.
yeah, Oathkeeper for Seeker decks, and then this is probably the thing I could think of recently.
Oathkeeper.
Or Oathbreaker, maybe. It's the Seeker. It's the Seeker only.
Yeah. That shuts off provinces.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those, I think, are the two big ones. Um, there are plenty of other Shugenja, they just tend not to get played. But if Scorpion ends up getting more Shugenja, I might see something as basic as a Superstorm deck out of Scorpion.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is. I think this card is either fine or is going to end up being busted.
Well, that's like half the Scorpion cards we see, where you're
Yeah.
like, well, hopefully it doesn't break anything, but it looks pretty good.
Yeah, like I don't think the having multiples of this character does anything super
No.
great for you, um, unless there's a bunch of terrible recursion that suddenly gets turned on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think this card is going to be fine. I think it makes Scorpion's conflict deck more consistent, which can be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but otherwise, I'm not seeing anything inherently screaming that it's busted.
No. I think it'll be fine.
Yeah. All right. Let's see if the trombone noises happen.
I think this pack has 3 playable unicorn cards in it. Let's start there.
That's heretical.
I'll read it if you want.
Yeah, no, you take over.
Shadow Steed, 1 cost attachment, +1/+0. Creature Maho, spell water. It's got the Maho text. Ancestral. They gain Cavalry. If attached character has no fate on it, lose an honor, ready attached character. Like I said before, anytime I see a 1-cost Maho, I get interested. You have Ancestral on it, so even when the character dies, you get it back when it is not fated. And then readying. Unicorn has trouble gaining honor, but I could lose 1 honor to ready my guy. That seems fine.
Yeah, this looks like it can super enable a tower.
Mm-hmm.
Because this lets you kind of double dip. Because it turns on Shiatomi Encampment for any character.
Yeah, I think
and is its own ready.
Yeah, it's its own ready. I think the idea of this is you put it on Shahai 2. She gets fate. Keep her around, and then you can ready her when she doesn't, and then she has cavalry and does things.
Yeah, no, I think Shahai 2 is going to be a really good tower platform for Unicorn.
She's been written off a lot.
I was going to say I seem to be in the minority of that.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that you can play this card for free without a whole lot of effort.
I mean, putting this thing on Combalok and her are probably the big ones.
Right.
Just to give them the trait and then the readies.
But with Shahai, if you're doing it in the conflict, this doesn't cost you anything.
Right.
but you can still put an honor on her to stick around. Granted, that
Hmm.
does cost you an honor, but
Yeah.
there's
You
only
faded
some.
her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this is a great card.
I think I'm going to see it in a lot of non-unicorn decks at one influence. Is what I think I'm going to see.
That is probably very accurate. Um, it is a stand, so it's kind of like a Gaijin Customs
Hmm.
that you don't have to do anything else with.
Yeah, I'm expecting seeing this thing in the Crane unicorn deck for
Yeah.
sure.
Uh, Gaining the cavalry trait is really useless outside of Unicorn.
Yeah, but ancestral, just getting this thing back over and over,
Yep.
not nothing.
No, I think this is like a solid card, and I think this is like a Unicorn card that Unicorn can actually leverage.
Yeah,
So
I'm probably higher up on it than other people, but yeah, I think it's got potential.
yeah, no, I would 100% agree with that. Nimble Noyon.
Mm-hmm. 3 cost 4/1 Bushi Cav Commander for some reason. Keeper role only for some reason. Dire, while this character is participating in a conflict, bowed participating characters contribute their skill towards the resolution of the conflict. So, unfortunately, this thing is unilateral. It works on your characters and your opponents. So, it makes bows in the middle of conflicts and stuff a lot worse. But at the same time, if you can leverage it properly, it's going to be a lot of fun.
I mean, it feels like it does a good job against shit like Duelist Training
Mm-hmm.
or Storied Defeat,
Right.
because then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't care because it'll still
Um,
it'll still do it.
does Unicorn have any cards that require bowing its own characters as a cost?
Not especially, no. I can't think of any. I mean, the other distinct thing about this thing is it's a 3 cost with 4 military, which is pretty rare for us.
Yeah, and it is Cav, so Cav
Have
reserves our
reserves.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
It is low glory, so Dark Resurrection.
No, no, no. But moving this thing in on its own, it then provides its own value plus whatever else is in the conflict that has been bowed.
Yeah. So I wonder if, because I'm looking at for greater glory,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if you can move in a bunch of bowed people
Mm-hmm.
and then just keep laying on for greater glory.
Yeah, which my swarm deck loves to do.
Yeah.
It always used for greater glory back in the day.
Because that way, he keeps being useful. Because the ability is nice.
Yeah.
I guess you just have to forego playing any cards that bow your opponent.
Yeah, I mean, send homes, right? Send homes then become
Yeah.
a thing because.
So, I mean, I guess the way to make this not symmetrical is for you not to bow anyone.
Right.
And then it makes you immune to shit that bows you.
So one of the things we were talking about before was diversionary tactics, right? With Nimble Noyon, where it's like you do diversionary tactics, move places, move everybody back in because they're all bowed, and then your opponent can't move theirs back in. So
diversionary maneuvers.
Maneuvers, yes.
Tactics. I'm curious if that. It only moves ready characters. So, I don't know. Like I think this card can be useful. And I think in order to make the effect not symmetrical, you have to forego running any battle cards.
Mm-hmm.
The downside is any movement your opponent has can bring in their tower and make your life difficult without having to straighten.
Yeah.
But
it's got potential. This is our second commander outside of Chono. So potential there for commander stuff that we really haven't been able to touch all that much.
Yeah, I think you'd need like 2 or 3 more.
Yeah, I'd like at least one 3 or 4 coster that really is really good to make it worthwhile. But it's something.
Yep.
But yeah, with movement shenanigans, like I anticipate. I mean, moving in Bowed Combolux and Noyon itself and stuff like that to keep getting discounts while still providing the military value.
Yeah, like I think this is a very playable card, but I think you have to build around it. You can't just throw it into a standard deck.
Yeah, I mean, along with this next card that we're about to see, we're starting to see, and Bonds of Blood was shown in the pack after this, we're starting to see more viable movement. So
Yeah.
if you pivot over to movement and then send homes instead of bows,
Yeah.
yeah, it's got potential.
And speaking of the next card, Reserve
Mhm.
Tents. It is
Reserve tent.
go for it.
Oh, go ahead.
It is Unicorn Holding. It's a battlefield, so if you want to run logistics, you can. During a conflict, choose a character you control, move that character to the conflict limit twice per round.
Mhm.
Just real simple.
Generally, unicorn holdings have been pretty great. I think we've only really had one stinker.
Is that the
play
buy
two
characters at once?
Yeah, buy two characters for one action. Everything else has been really playable, so the trend kind of continues here.
Yep.
+2 is pretty decent. It is a battlefield for what that's worth, and then just being able to move anybody. They don't have to be Cav, doesn't have to be a particular conflict, doesn't have to be non-unique. It just moves.
It not being gated to a military conflict is really big.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that opens up real interesting things with like the Nimble Noyon and Shono. Because if you move both of them into a conflict, that's a lot of numbers you just added, and chances are Shono can pump up even more.
Yeah, it feels like with this cycle we're kind of getting to a tipping point in terms of making movement and all that a little bit more playable, to where it's not too expensive.
Which is nice, right? Because I'm sure your binder is full of unicorn movement cards.
Yeah. I mean, it just this just gives me potential. This card is just pure potential for me in terms of theory crafting and stuff like that. Like even just looking at it again, I looked up Outskirt Sentry again, and like Outskirt Sentry is a 1-cost 2- Bushi Scout, 0 glory. Reaction: after a character is moved to a conflict in which this character is participating, choose a participating, honor that character. So even just move in with honor.
So remember that Jank tournament we did?
Mm-hmm.
And at the start of the Before Times?
Yeah.
Or right at the end of the Before Times, sorry. I had a unicorn deck that was all the movement effects, and it was an honor run deck because it ran all the battle maidens and outskirt sentries and a bunch of movement just to keep like pinging yourself up with honor.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't very good, but this card makes it better.
Yeah, I mean, I want Tetsuko in every conflict.
You can fuck off.
and it's one of those things, this definitely makes that happen. So.
Yeah. Wow, this is remarkable. No sad trombone noises.
No, none.
At all.
Three playable unicorn cards, I think.
I don't think we've ever seen 3 playable unicorn cards in any pack.
It's been a while.
And that's including the clan pack.
Yeah, I mean, even Tetsuko was by herself.
Yep, so. She was in the Scorpion pack, so.
That would say, yeah.
So yeah, I think this is a pack that everyone should pick up.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a couple of clans that don't get anything for themselves, but like Curse of Misfortune is, at the very least, it's a mandatory 2-play around card.
Yeah, and there's plenty of splashes here with low influence that you'll want to mess with to make it work.
This is a fun experimental pack.
Yeah, I mean, even 2 packs in, I feel more optimistic about this than I did the entirety of the last cycle.
Well, that's because we haven't seen any like absolutely broken dire cards.
Yeah.
And there's not 30 of them.
Like there was with Rally. We've seen Junzo and the Black Scroll. We've seen stuff like Uji, which is pretty powerful, but like nothing that I'm like think will affect the game in a super negative way.
Yeah, I don't think Junzo is super broken. but that's just
So
me.
what if you shadow step him and do it again?
I mean, at that point, you've paid 6 fate for 2 consumed by 5 fires, except you can
Hmm.
only hit 2 characters.
Hmm.
So, meh.
Yeah.
Plus, it costs you an honor and 2 cards to do.
I would say out of what we've seen so far, the only clan I'm really worried about is like we were talking about Lion, like Lion stuff.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I'm pretty positive, pretty
Yeah,
optimistic.
no, this is good. And I've said this before, as far as line goes, it seems like current or recent cycles, not current cycles, recent cycles themes have been it's yellow, it's okay.
Yeah.
And I imagine we'll see more of that coming too.
Hmm.
So that is pack two. Uh, Assuming pack three doesn't drop this week in some complete form, um, I guess we'll go back to a Dominion cycle
Yeah.
and try and get that done, and then just bounce back and forth as we need to.
Go back into Depression Land, sure.
Oh Jesus Christ! Yeah, yeah. No, that sounds like a great experience.
Yeah.
But we've started it, and I don't like having an unfinished playlist.
I understand. I agree.
So I think that'll do it for today. Thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.
Have a good one.